Hey, what's up, guys? Chris here, and we're back with another video. So, today's video is just an update. Yes, that's me under the mask. See? Anyway, hold on. So, like I said, this is me. Anyway, um, thank you all for subscribing to the channel, and thank you for liking my videos, and also thank you for sharing my videos. I just can't thank you all enough. And thank you for the comments. And yes, the comments are turned back on, by the way. So, anyway. So now today's video, let's get back into it. So, this is just an update. You're probably wondering what the heck is going on here. Well, anyway, so the update for today's video, so now the paranormal experience and the near-death experience that I was telling you guys about in one of my other videos. I'll also welcome to the channel if you're new, and welcome back to the channel. So like I was saying, so the paranormal experience and the near-death experience, as I'm wearing this mask because of that. So this video is just an update. So anyway, so yeah, you saw that video about the paranormal experience and the near-death experience that I had. Funny thing is, as an update, I have not had either experience since. I haven't had a paranormal experience since that video, and I also have not had a near-death experience after that video. So anyway, okay, we can take that off now. So that's so anyway, yeah, that mask. That's just a mask that I had wore back around Halloween, which apparently I still have, as you can see. But anyway, so now we'll set that aside. So yeah, like I was saying, I haven't had any paranormal experiences since that video. I also haven't had any near-death experiences after that video, which is weird. Yeah. So anyway, just like I said, watch that video and you'll see. You'll basically just see the video of me talking about the paranormal experience and the near-death experience that I had in that video. Can't think if there was anything else. As far as I know, I don't think there was. Oh yeah. Hold on. Got my iced coffee still. Yep, still the French vanilla flavor iced coffee. Oh, that's good. Yep, and of course I still go to the same place to get it. There. Yep. So as you can see, that's that. I know there's actually some different lighting. Isn't that different? That's very different. Anyway. Whoa, no, there you go. And of course the lighting decided that it wanted to fall over, like usual. Like I said, thank you all so much for being subscribed to the channel, and yeah, thank you for liking my videos, thank you for commenting on my videos, and yeah, thank you for sharing my videos, and like I said, thank you for liking my videos. Also, thank you for subscribing. Also, if you're new to the channel, again, welcome and welcome back. So I'm not wrapping up this video just yet here. Anyway, so hold on, this light thing is having an issue here. Of course it is. Man. So now, anyway, hold on, I'm gonna put the mask back on because because. So, yeah. There's a reason. So. Alright, there, that looks... Okay, there, that looks good. Anywho, so... Where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. So, anyway, I just wanted to basically just start off by talking about that. Yes, it's just one of those masks that has one of this thing on it. That's why you see the wire there. So, anyway. I don't know why I have the mask back on, honestly. Oh, well. I just do. So, like I said, this video basically was just literally an update on things. And, oh, yeah, so, you all may have heard or may not have heard, I actually ended up getting a new phone because my old phone, that I don't want to discuss the phone that it was, so, needless to say, my phone decided to do a full lockout to where it needs a 28-digit recovery key code, and that's generated, and I did not set the 28-digit generated recovery key code up. It was automatically set by being generated. So one day my phone asked me for it, and I was like, I don't have that information. Why is it asking? So I contacted, not going to say, but anyway, I contacted who I was supposed to, and needless to say, they were not helpful at all. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Needless to say. So, and then they said to me, oh, well, have you thought about getting another device with us? And I said, are you paying for it? Because I'm sure as hell not. I said, yeah, instead of helping, that's all you could say? Really? 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 So, whatever. They chose to be like that, so whatever. It's just literally... I'm going to take that mask back off. Honestly, it's just literally horrible that they chose to be like that. So, whatever. Be like that. It's fine. So, I did contact my carrier, and I was like, hey, this is the problem with the phone. I was like, so do you have to talk to them, or do they have to talk to you? The carrier said, well, their policy is probably yes and no, but they said something about trying to talk to them. So I called back, and I told them, I said, well, I have the carrier on the line, and they would like to speak to you. And they said, oh, no, we're not allowed to do that. Not allowed to do that. Well, wait, what? Since when? So I said to the carrier, I said, they're telling me that they're not allowed to speak to you. Phone carrier told me something different. Phone carrier said it sounds more like they were just refusing to speak with them and deal with the problem. So the problem was that my device was actually purchased online on the carrier's website. So, needless to say, I went and found the receipt in one of my emails, or back in or whatever email was used. Went back, found it. It started loading. Here it is loading. And then literally starts to load and then literally just stops. So it wasn't even helpful for them to get the information that they actually needed to look up something, which I don't know what they had to look up. They were literally trying to accuse me of stealing the damn thing. No, I did not. It was an online purchase. That was a valid purchase. And they're trying to claim that I stole it. Okay, how in the hell is that even possible when it was an online purchase? You can't do it through the internet. You sure as hell can't steal the damn device. So, but oh no, they were accusing me of that shit. First of all, I didn't steal shit. But yet, according to this company, I did. Yeah, they were accusing me of doing something that I never did, so I don't know what the hell their problem was. But whatever. Fine, be that way. Go ahead, accuse me like the jerks you really are. That's just what I think of that whole thing because of the problem. So, needless to say, I spent 3 hours on the phone the first time and got nowhere, which I was quite upset about. So, in the end, I was just like, you know what? I'm getting, forget you people. I'm getting a whole different phone. Something totally different not through y'all. Also through my carrier. I'm getting a different device, something even way better, which I did actually end up getting. That works fine, works even better, and doesn't need a stupid 28-digit recovery key code to be generated, to be set up. And I didn't know that when you set to whatever it is there, the authentic two-step authenticator, when you set that up, I didn't know that I was supposed to write down that 28-digit recovery key code that was generated. Okay, first of all, I was never told that. I had to write anything down like that. And I did not know that. So, therefore, they're at fault because I didn't know that. I could have been told that. But no, I was never told that. I wasn't told shit. That's the problem. Well, that's part of the problem. But anyway, needless to say, I have a new phone that's like way better and does so much more. That's even better than that thing. So, yeah. Needless to say, I just can't get access to the one thing that I was used to on that phone. Which my phone also had the same thing that my computer at the time had. And my other device similar to that phone all had the same exact thing on it. Where I could do the same exact thing. But unfortunately, I sort of kind of can on this phone, but not exactly. Which is fine. There's another way to do it through something different. Something that I've used before. So anyway, now let me explain further into this. Now, also updating this too. So, yeah. So you may have seen my last video about how the one where Apple locked me out of my iPhone completely. Yeah. So, needless to say, whatever. So now this is how this all starts out. So all of a sudden, I went and I was, with some relatives, over at their house visiting, for something that they had going on. And they said, hey, come over, we got this going on. And, me and my family were like, hey, okay, yeah, that sounds good. So, yeah. So we, go there, we do that. And we're sitting there, for the thing. And, everything's going great at first, everything's fine. Everything's cool. Everything's going real, real great, So, all of a sudden, I get a thing on my phone, on my iPhone. I get this notification, looking thing that, pops up on the screen. I'm like, what's this? It goes, someone was attempting from another device to your Apple ID. And I said, no, 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 no. And I said, do you want to authorize or not authorize? I said, no, I don't want to authorize this because, I don't know why that happened. But I was like, no. Like, no, no, no. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, so I just say no. And all of a sudden, so everything's fine again. I go home slightly after that, about, I want to say maybe an hour, like about 1 to 2 hours later, all of a sudden, my computer goes, makes a noise, tell me, hey, there's a notification, Apple notification on your Mac. And I was like, all right, so I go over, to the computer. I look at it, and it's the same thing that was on my phone earlier. It says someone from another is attempting to use your Apple ID. And I said, no, I do not authorize that. No, 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 no. So I hit no again, All of a sudden it goes, okay, or, oh, okay, no problem. That's fine. We'll do, whenever we head for that don't happen. All of a sudden, about 45 minutes goes by. Everything seems cool. So I am, on Facebook Messenger, messaging, on, yeah, I was messaging a friend of mine or something, or was it a relative? Another relative. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, so whoever I was messaging, a friend, I think, or something. Yeah. So, a friend of mine was just saying, hey, what have you been up to, So, yeah, so I'm saying to my one friend, and I was like, oh, yeah, girl, I've been up to all, yeah, the basic. And all of a sudden, everything's fine. I click on Messenger really quick, because, I click on Messenger because I had to go to the bathroom. So everything's fine. I go to the bathroom. I go back on my phone after. And, I continue messaging my friend. Or, well, I was getting ready to go back on my phone to message my friend, I should say. And all of a sudden, my phone goes, oh, sign in to your Apple ID. I was like, all right, okay. I thought, okay, that's fine. No problem. It's didn't ask me that before. Maybe one other time. So, so I go and sign in. Sign in my Apple ID. Everything's cool. At first. And it goes, well, there's a problem. We or you cannot access your account. What do you mean? You can't access my account. And then all of a sudden it goes, recovery key code. Time. And it's like, oh, here, put the recovery key code in and we'll go from there. I was like, okay, just one tiny problem. Where the hell is it? Is it on the phone somewhere? Like I said, I don't know where the hell it is. So I was like, well, I can't put this in if I don't know where it is. So I said, okay, let's, see if, we can just do a basic reset. I was like, all right, let's try that. Maybe it's not recognizing the password or something. Yeah, so it brings you through that whole thing. I reset the password, update it. And I might do it was just updated not that long ago, prior to that. Like, I want to say like 3 or 4 days prior to that. So, all of a sudden, it says, oh, okay, well, it goes, oh, so why? So it goes, so it needs to be updated again. And I was like, what the fuck? At that point, like, okay. So anyway, so I started doing that. And all of a sudden it goes, oh, well, there's suddenly still a problem. We really need this 28-digit recovery key code. And I was like, well, what do you mean to do at this point? You know, really? Oh, just horrible. So I tried like hell to get out. I really did, and got nowhere. So that's why I was literally pissed. So that's just besides the point, you know? Anyway, that's literally all I really wanted to go on about, but I just don't understand how in the hell someone explain this to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I did everything on my end that they asked me to do to get that recovery key code. I tried on my end. I really did. But there was a problem when something was supposed to load some information for me that ended up being a problem, which was not my fault. Okay, it's not my fault that the email did not want to load the receipt properly. Okay, that has nothing to do with me. That's not my goddamn fault. I am not at fault for that shit. And I do not want to be accused of that either. Just saying. Because I know how some people can be about that. So, it's not my fault that I was unable to provide them all the information. So, whatever, you know. I mean, if things don't want to work, they just don't want to work, you know. I do not have control over that. And so, just whatever, you know. It was easier just to get a whole different phone. Something completely different, you know. Which is working out a lot better, apparently, by the way. I should have just found this phone in the first place, but I don't really remember seeing this phone back then in the first place. It may have been there or it may not have. I don't really know for sure. But with that being said, that's literally what ended up happening. So, oh yeah, and I've been meaning to do an update on that. I've been also meaning to do a couple of things to talk about as an update in this video. So that was actually the point of today's video, was just, you know, just to discuss the updates, you know. Other than that, I've been good, you know. Everything's been great, literally. Anyway, you know what I'm thinking, what I would like to do in one of my videos? I was thinking of doing another Chili's video. As, you know, one of those videos that I did in, you know, one of my other videos on here that I did. I'm actually thinking about doing another one of them, but see, well, here's the problem. See, where I live, the Chili's is not exactly around the corner. You have to literally drive quite a ways away just to get there, unfortunately. But, like I said, you know, I would like to do another video on that, which I may or may not. I haven't really decided yet, but, you know, just, I'll update you all, and, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.